Welcome everyone to this week's Walk on Water moment, and once again I have got a beautiful guest with me to share their wow moment with all of us. And my guest today is Elissa Plumridge from Creating Connections Australia. Now, I'm just going to say, first of all, welcome Elissa.
Thank you. It's lovely to be here with you.
It's great to have you here. And I was thinking, Elissa, before we started this, that it would be great for you just to explain to our listeners and viewers a little bit about Creating Connections Australia, because I think that will help people understand, at a deeper level, your wow moment and how it was such a wow moment.
Okay, I'm more than happy to do that for you. So Creating Connections Australia we're really an education and consultancy based company, and we specifically support people who are autistic or who are supporting family members or anybody else in the community who are autistic. So whether it be a teacher or a health professional or anybody else in the community. And we run workshops for professionals and for family members. We also provide one-on-one consultation, and we also have a variety of books and online digital products that are available as well, all based on understanding autism a little more, but we do come very much from the autistic perspective.
Fantastic. That's great. So, Elissa, would you like to share with everyone your wow moment or your walk on water moment?
Yes, I would be more than happy to do that. One thing that I should have added when I was talking a little bit about Creating Connections Australia is that we have probably a saying that we use, and it's where we bring professional expertise together with lived experience. And that is very much because both Sherry, my business partner, and I come from a lived perspective of autism. So it was around about 7 years ago now that I was diagnosed autistic myself, after I had had a couple of family members diagnosed. And for me, that probably led into my wow moment. Up until that point in time in my life, I had been trying to live by the standards and expectations of what I saw in the world around me, and I wasn't really being true to who I was myself.
Well, that must be a huge thing, because, in order to do anything in life successfully, we need to be our unique self, and we need to be able to live our gifts and talents. And obviously being on the autism spectrum, I should say, in itself has very particular gifts that come with that. So how did you cope with that, Elissa?
Well, for me at the time, it's interesting because it almost felt like life fell apart in some respects. I had thought that I had been living who I was until that point, even though things just didn't seem to feel 100% right for me. And then it was like this realization of, actually, that's not really me. I think there's a different me there. I just have to find who I am. And so things did fall apart. All of a sudden, things that I thought had made sense didn't really make sense anymore once I was looking through the new lenses of understanding that I had about myself. But what it did mean was that I could look at the challenges and the struggles that I had been dealing with ever since I was a child, and start to rework the way that I lived and the way that I engaged with people around me, and the way that I worked, and the way that I really was in the world, so that I could be more true to myself and I could have a more successful version of who I really was.
So was it difficult to, well, how do they say, come out and announce to the world, this is who I am?
It was very difficult. And I still remember, it was probably a few years before I actually decided to have the diagnosis made official, where I started to suspect that that's what it was. And then when it finally got to the point, even though I knew deep down what it was, when I was told this is what it is, and it took me a few days before I could even say it out loud. I was still coming to terms with it on the inside myself. And then even from there, it was a process of probably a couple of years before I could really be completely honest with people around me and in the community and to strangers, because I had a fear of stigma. And I had a fear of people saying to me, but you don't look autistic, because I had spent so many years of my life, 35 years of my life until I was diagnosed, where I had been masking and pretending to be somebody who I wasn't. And so people knew that version of me, and my concern was that people wouldn't believe me, or that they wouldn't understand who I was or what it had taken me to be the person who I am today.
So did people, were they surprised, or did they say, oh, well, we kind of knew you were, I mean, nicely, I hope, but we kind of knew you were different?
I did have a combination of both. The people who were closest to me said, well, that makes complete sense. Everything makes sense now. And it did start to put pieces together for all of us. There were people who were surprised, and I think with them it was more about me opening up and giving and sharing a little more of myself, of the things that I'd hidden away for so long. And then I think people were more open to realising just how it was for me.
Yeah.
And then the surprise wasn't there so much anymore.
So, Elissa, obviously, well, I'm presuming your work has come out of that that moment, or that wow moment. Is that right?
It has. I was already working within that field for quite some time. I have a background in education, and then I had been in the disability field for some time. But it was really once I started to embrace who I was as a person that I really gave myself permission to step out and probably go deeper into the work that I was doing.
Yeah.
And now my work wouldn't be what it is if I didn't bring my own perspective to it. It's such an important part of what we do. We're not only teaching people and supporting people from a textbook view of autism, but we're giving them a real life view of autism. And
it's kind of like insider information, isn't it?
It is a little bit like that.
Yeah.
It's when people hear us talk about different things or offer ideas or suggestions or talk about our stories, they know that we haven't just done a course and learned it or reading it from a book, that they're getting really what we've lived. And I think it makes a difference to not only to, I suppose, how people respond to our work, but I just feel that it gives our work a bit more authenticity.
Fabulous. Well, Elissa, thank you so much for sharing your walk on water moment with us. It's amazing. And, you know, you've opened our eyes, I'm sure, to people who not only on the spectrum, but who come with other gifts too, in different ways in our world. So thank you so much for sharing with us today.
You're most welcome, and thank you for having me.
Pleasure.